For those of you who don't know, I'm Kaitlin. I just got back a few days ago, so bear with me. My suitcase is still not unpacked, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm just going to kind of briefly talk about the training we had to do. There were different principles that we had to study and go through. So I'm just going to talk about a few of those. One of them is God is already working, which is something we really had to realize when we got there, because we weren't coming there to bring God there. God was already there, but we were kind of just strengthening everyone's bond with God who is there. So that was something we really had to get used to, because a lot of the places I traveled to and did vacation Bible schools and stuff, those kids already knew about God, but their relationship wasn't like ours is. It was kind of strange, so we were just kind of trying to strengthen that. And then one of the other ones was church matters. And we had to realize that church is the community, not the building. So I didn't go there and expect to see a building like this there, and I surely didn't. We did church on a beach covered in rocks. We did church in a van. We did church in a tap, which you guys will hopefully see in the pictures maybe. So it was really something that we had to realize that, church is the people, not the building. And I think that a good example of that is when we went to a pastor there whose name was Jessman, and he had just moved into his house. So he doesn't live in the church, he lives in his house. The church has yet to be built on his property, but he's been having church in his living room. And so he does church on Sunday, he does kids club, he does youth groups, 5 or 6 different programs throughout the week just in his living room. So God bless the man for being able to just invite everyone into his home and move his furniture out of the way and just have church on Sundays. One of the other ones was do things with, not for people. And I think that was another big one, because we didn't come in there and just give people things and just talk about God. We did stuff with them. And I personally partnered with, I went with CIY, but we went there and partnered with a group called Home, which is a Haitian group, really. It's based out of Haiti, and Haitian people run it. So they were the ones that took us to all the different villages and told us what to do, and they translated for us and did all that kind of stuff. And we painted a school with them. The kids helped us. We played soccer with them. We played games with them. Even though there was that language barrier there, we were still able to kind of figure it out and play with them. And we actually, on one of my last days, we went to a museum in Port-au-Prince, which is underground. We took a group of kids as a field trip there. And it was very cool to see, because that was where most recent earthquake hit the most. And the museum we went to was the only part in the city not destroyed by the earthquake. And so when you go in the museum, they show you, you're not allowed to take pictures in there, but there's a little chip on the floor. And that was from where a sculpture had fallen and just made a little chip in the floor. And that is the only damage in that entire building. Yeah. So, but outside of that building, the whole rest of the city is just, there's still a lot of buildings, but they're not like buildings here. They're very disheveled and broken. And then the most impactful principle for me was that cultures are beautiful and broken. Which, when I went there, I expected to just kind of see all broken. You didn't really think about the beauty you were going to find there. And when we were flying in there, the mountains are so incredibly beautiful, and hopefully you'll see some of those. That country is it's so beautiful. And the one day, it was after church on Sunday, we were outside playing with the kids, and I was giving piggyback rides to a bunch of little boys, and a group of little girls was over in the corner doing something I couldn't see what they were doing, but they yelled something to the boys. And the boys all grabbed my arms and they dragged me over there, and they had built a fort out of like cinder blocks and rocks, and like they made the floor like grass and leaves and stuff. And they sat me down in it, they made like a little chair, and they were like doing my hair the way they do their hair, and it was just amazing to me to see how they were able to make something so beautiful, you know, out of cinder blocks and leaves. You know, and like that was awesome for them to get to do my hair, and like it was just awesome to see. And they seriously are some of the nicest and caring people you will ever meet. I mean, I never expected to see such joy out of people who literally have nothing, who are just sleeping in dirt. We did a prayer walk on one of the days, and so we were just like walking from house to house, and some of the houses you'll get there and they'll say, no, like I don't believe what you believe, please go away. But for the most part, they will invite you into their house and they'll clean it up for you and they'll sit you down and make sure, you know, you're comfortable, and then you sit there and talk to them, and they'll stand. They will not sit with you. They want you to be comfortable. And through translators, you know, you'll ask them if there's anything you could pray for them for, and they'll tell you, oh, just pray for me, or like they'll tell you something specifically that you can pray for them. And then we pray with them, and then we would hand them a bag of rice and oil. And the look on their faces when we would hand them a bag of rice and oil was absolutely incredible, because, you know, to us a bag of rice and oil is nothing, but to them, you know, that's meals for days. And so it's just amazing to see like the joy on their faces when we were able to do that for them and give that to them. And then another cool story for me was when we went to one of the villages, and I didn't know this going in there, but one of our leaders had been to Haiti like 9 or 10 other times, so she was like very familiar with her surroundings and all of that kind of stuff. So she told us that you can tell when a person is like super impoverished and like very malnourished when their hair is normally black, but it will start to grow in like red tinted. And so we went to this village, and you could just tell by that, and like their bellies were like bloated out like that. You could tell like they probably haven't eaten in a while, like they get very little food. So we made a bunch of like peanut butter sandwiches and gave them cookies and like bags of water and stuff like that. And one of the little boys that like I was playing with most of the time there, he was like sitting on my lap, and they like brought over the food for them, and like we were doing crafts and stuff. And instead of him just like scarfing down the sandwich and eating it, because you know that's what you'd expect him to do, he probably hasn't eaten in days, he tried to give me his sandwich, and it broke my heart. I mean, I was in tears, just like trying to get him to eat this sandwich and just like not give it to me, because like I could tell this might be the only meal he'll get in days, this might be the only meal he eats in a week, you know? And for him to just like be so selfless and try to give me that sandwich when, you know, I've had 2 meals that day already and it's only noon. And so that was just awesome to see how selfless he was, and then he tried to give it to the other kids and they took it, which was sad, because like in my heart I just wanted him to eat that sandwich, you know, I wanted him to just be nourished, and I wanted him to have that one little piece of bread, you know. So that was a really, really hard thing. But I mean, overall that trip, it taught me so incredibly much, and it taught me just to be grateful for everything that we have here. And it really just taught me how to be, you know, more generous and fruitful in giving and what we have here and what we have to offer over there. So, yeah, that's all I got for you. And maybe a slideshow eventually, but... Alrighty. Well, that was the first that I got to hear about Kaitlin's story since she just got back, and I was having memories of my own trip coming back, and yeah, I'm really glad you had a safe trip. I went to Haiti back in June, from June 15th to the 25th. All I can say is that Haiti had to have been everything and nothing that I expected. It was everything in the sense that I knew that my life was going to be changed by it and that I would have a great experience and see God in a new way, but nothing could have prepared me or my team for any of the things that we were going to see there, and just the different ways that God was working in Haiti. The organization that that we were staying with when we were in Haiti is called Haitian Christian Mission. They're HCM for short. And the people there, once you see the different fields that they work within their ministry, they have their church, they have the schools. There was a hospital there where we got to take a tour of and see the different operating rooms and just see all the ways that God was reaching people in Haiti, and that He was using the needs of the people in Haiti as a way for Him to spread His love. Because in most hospitals here in the U.S., the doctors wouldn't say God healed you, they'd say medicine healed you. But in Haiti, a lot of the doctors at the hospital that we would go to, they would say that people were saved right there on the table, and that's just something so awesome to me, that God was using tragedies in their lives where people were sick or hurt, or women were giving birth, and God just used those as a very unlikely but very impactful light. One of the topics that Kaitlin touched on, that church matters, when my group went to Haiti, we had a slightly bigger group, so we split off all of the topics that we were working on in the principles that we had looked over before we went to Haiti. We would have a group, 2 or 3 of us would focus on a specific principle, and the principle that I was focusing on was the church matters. And I don't think in this past year I could have ever gotten such an understanding of why church matters. This trip just made it so much more real to me, just in the way that 4 Mile Run supported both of us when we were going on our trips, and how we came back from CIY and said, hey, we want to go to Haiti, and everyone just kind of said, yeah, and we'll help you do that. And all the prayers and the funding that you guys provided for us is just, it's a really impactful thing, and it just showed me in a new way how much the church family really was my family. So I thank all of you guys for that. And another way that I saw how church mattered, at HCM, HCM is 43 years old. In 2017, they've been around for 43 years. I actually got to meet the founder of HCM. His name was ATM, and his wife Betty. They were the founders. They are from Haiti, and their son is now he now runs it, but they're still with it and working all the time on it. So when I got to talk to ATM, he was telling me just how much church mattered in his life. And one of the coolest parts about when I went to Haiti was that the church was having their 40-year anniversary for how long so HCM was 43 years old, but the church that we were, the church on the compound that we were staying at was celebrating their 40th anniversary, and they were celebrating it with a 40-day revival. And that revival goes 24 hours a day. There is someone in the church praying or worshiping all the time, and they had a service, I think it was a 3 or 4 hour service every evening that anyone could come in, come as you are. It was such a great thing. So at the building that we were sleeping at and eating at, we were right across from the church. So at every time of the day, we heard people singing. They were worshiping in songs that we were familiar with, like "Blessed Be Your Name,"
and old hymns, and it was just such a great thing to have that constant reminder that there's a church growing and gaining new believers. And we got to go to the church service. We went on Sunday, and then we went again one of the evenings to their evening revival service. And I'd say the funniest part about church in Haiti, if you guys could imagine, put yourselves in a Haitian church for a minute and think of young girls about 13 or 13 to 18, dressed in white blouses and black pleated skirts, just standing at the walls, completely still and just watching you, okay? At some of the churches in Haiti, they have what's called church guards, and that's what these girls, their job is to watch the members of the church during service, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the common nodding off, maybe if the service is going extra long, or if you're not paying attention, or if you happen to check your phone, or you just aren't paying attention. And what these girls do, once they see you, they stare you down. And you get about 5 seconds to redeem yourself and to open your eyes and refocus. But if you're not paying attention or if you fall asleep, these girls lean over and knock the wood. And you see people wake up. So I really think we should test that out at our next service, right? See how many people have to wake up. So when you're sitting in a 3-hour service that is in a different language, you kind of start watching people and just wait for who's gonna fall asleep, and then you wait for them to get the knock. Or occasionally it was a snap, and they just give you the scariest look. You wouldn't think that 13-year-old girls were that intimidating, but they were giving the death stare to men and women, just adults, and I was very impressed with how intimidating they were. So one of the things that I really loved about church service in Haiti is that they had a sound system, and they had people playing guitar, and they had lighting and all of the things that you would expect. They didn't have air conditioning and stuff like that. But the power in Haiti, they run on city power, but the city power isn't very reliable, and occasionally, well, more than occasionally, cuts out, and the whole city will just lose power. And so a lot of the time, the compound that we were on, they have their own generators, but even sometimes those generators, might cut out occasionally. So sometimes we would lose power during our services, and what amazed me, among all the other amazing things, was that when the power did cut out, no one batted an eye, no one stopped playing, no one stopped preaching. They carried on, and honestly, I think they got louder as we went on. If the power cut out and we were in the middle of the revival that they were having, we would keep clapping, and we would get louder, and then we would keep singing until the power went on. And so we would sing songs for 10 minutes, and it got very intense. So that was one of the greatest things that I saw there, that showed us that the church isn't a building, it's not the sound system, none of those things really matter when you get down to it, because you just get down to the core of it, which is worship, and that just the praising of God, and it's such a beautiful thing once you experience it. So I would definitely say the most impactful thing of my trip was seeing how that church was growing and how they were responding to the country around them and how they were using that as an outreach, even though they were in a very impoverished area where we would consider them like materially impoverished. They were like spiritually, they were very rich in the spirit, and it was just such a great thing to be there and to be seeing people that were believers all of their lives and then see people right in front of you coming to God. And that was just, it was a really good experience. One of the other experiences that I can say was touching to me was just experiencing all the things with the kids. We would travel around to rural villages up in the mountains, which, I don't know, did you guys have the scary, death-defying bus trips up mountains? Yes. Okay, I expected that.
We once hiked an hour and a half up a mountain. We hiked an hour and a half up this mountain. They told us it'd be 45 minutes for us to get there. I was in like the first group of us that was like doing well getting up this mountain. We get to the top and we look back and like there were like 10 other people in our group that were like nowhere to be found. And like an hour and a half later they come like walking up this mountain like huffing and puffing. And then it was the funniest thing because like we thought that was the only way to this village was this hard, very steep trail. And then one of our translators was talking to one of the people in the village and they're like, oh, if you go right down this road right here, you can get a van up like 500 yards down the road. We're like, oh, so the trek down was much, much easier.
That's great. Well, one of our most exciting trips to one of the villages, we went to a village across the lake. It was Lake Tolma, which is, like, you could see the island we were going to, but the only way to get there was in some of the men on the village, in the village built boats and would give you rides back and forth. So about like 20 people crammed into a boat that was leaking. And as the men paddled the boat, we had one of the kids, the guys in our group, he was pailling water off the side of the boat with a little bucket. So that was probably our most memorable trip. But when we got to that village, the minute we stepped off the boat and were stepping onto the rocks, those kids came running at me, and I had about two or three kids that just jumped on top of me as soon as I stepped onto the beach. And their smiles and just their complete and utter like joy to see me and to see someone coming, because they know that when a white person shows up that you're a missionary that is coming to love them and just to spend time with them, and they just love that so much. And so they would just run up on me, and when we walked up to the school, it was about like a mile walk up to the school, I just had like two kids in my arms, and then I had more kids like holding onto my arm or holding onto my skirt, and I was just like completely swarmed with smiling, beautiful faces, and you could just see God's love just pouring through them and just radiating, and they were such sweet and loving kids. And like Kaitlin was saying about how like amazingly and shockingly generous and selfless they are, when we got to the area that the men would build the boats, there were some scraps of wood, like just about like yay big, and the kids, when they saw that we were coming to look at the boats, they wanted to find us a place to sit. So they set out like just scraps of wood, and instead of allowing themselves to sit on the wood, they all just motioned us and pulled us down to sit on the pieces of wood as seats. And it was such an emotional thing to me to see like how selfless they were and how willing to give when they had nothing to give. Nothing but God's love and just His unending love for us. And that that was probably one of the more emotional days.